Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast from Practical E-Commerce, hosted by entrepreneur Eric Bandholz.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another E-Commerce Conversations. Hope all is going well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the table from me here in Denmark, Rasmus. What's up?
What's up? Long time no see.
I've got back-to-back Rasmuses on my show, which has never happened before.
Oh, that must be very uncommon for an American podcast, that's for sure.
I'm excited for this. Rasmus and I go back, like 8 years now?
I think so, yeah.
One of my employees was a friend with him, and we met at my employee's wedding in Portugal.
Yep.
Many years ago.
Yeah, we were sitting next to each other. That was a good night.
Yeah. And he was also on the podcast before with Sorry Mom. So we're not going to go deep into his founder story or anything. But I don't know if we talk too much about this. You also have a number of tattoo shops. How many tattoo shops do you have?
Yeah, I have a stake in a chain of tattoo shops called Iron and Ink. We have 4 shops here in Denmark, and we have a shop in Los Angeles. So 5 shops in total today.
Oh, yeah. So all my LA listeners looking to get some tattoo, go to Iron and Ink.
Yeah, find us in Melrose.
I think when you think about e-commerce, you think a lot about the move towards experiences. You guys kind of went the different route, right? You all started with Iron and Ink and brought Sorry Mom on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Iron and Ink actually goes, I think, 12 years back now, where my today good friend and business partner, Havaro, he started up a little tattoo shop here in Vejle, a city with, 60,000 citizens. He dropped out of his studies and he wanted to go against the flow. His parents are from Syria and tattoos aren't really a thing where he came from back in the days. And he wanted to do something else. And he decided to open up a tattoo shop called Iron and Ink. Back in the days, iron was for iron, like lifting iron. He was a bodybuilder back then, and he was selling actually training equipment in the shop, like protein powder, gym clothing, stuff like that. And then ink was for the ink in tattooing. So he had himself there and one artist.
Yeah. He's a bodybuilder too. Like he's performed, hasn't he?
He has performed, but he enjoys good food. And he doesn't work out that much anymore. Sorry, Havaro, but that's where we are now. He's still in good shape, and he's doing his workouts. I think he's working out like twice a day right now.
Yeah, and y'all have pretty much moved past the iron part of Iron and Ink. Or?
Oh yeah. Well, I came into Iron and Ink 10 years ago. I would say by coincidence. Long story made short, my mom is funny enough married to a Philippine guy that she met on Facebook. And I remember that he came to Denmark and, suddenly they got married. That was pretty weird for a 20-year-old Rasmus, but that's how life is. So I, took it for what it was. And I found out that this dear guy, Danny, he's a good friend of mine today and still is married to my mom. So everything is good. She's happy, he's happy. He had a friend from Manila that was a tattoo artist. And I just came home I've been traveling to Vietnam, working there for 6 months, and, I was trying to find my spot. And I thought, if I can make this Philippine guy come to Denmark, I might be able to get a tattoo at Philippine pricing in Denmark. And eventually I reached out to Iron and Ink because I remember that I've seen them have like guest artists coming from, outside of Denmark, other countries. And I reached out. I still have the Facebook message because now I'm an admin and owner of the Facebook page, where I wrote Iron and Ink. I know this guy, and I came in and I met Havaro, and he was like, yo, sounds like a good idea. Trust me, Havaro, he was so stupid back then. So were I. We didn't know anything. He was like, yeah, he can come. He's welcome. As long as you make sure that we make his papers okay. That's your responsibility. And I was like, I haven't tried that before, so I can fix that for sure. And then suddenly I started hanging out in the tattoo shop. I started helping out on, doing a bit of marketing, sending out some newsletters, emails. Before we didn't send them as newsletters. We had some emails and we would email people basically. And it was just one shop, and I think we had like 4 artists at that point. And then eventually this Philippine guy, Jamie, he came to Denmark. He was our first success case in hiring foreign talent. And that learned us a lot. So suddenly we had Jamie Todd, which his name is. He was working for us, and he stayed and lived in Denmark for, I think, around 3 years. And I eventually ended up getting my tattoo. And suddenly, Havara and I, we sat down and we figured out, let's do more than just iron and ink. Let's ditch the iron part with the training and bodybuilding stuff, because that's not what it's about. And let's try to create a revolution in the tattoo space of Denmark.
Yeah, so you got your free tattoo, and you got a little bit of a business too.
Yeah, exactly. Then we started Sorry Mom as a side thing, but yeah, if we stick on the track with Iron and Ink, that's where it actually started.
I think, if there's a lesson out there, most of the listeners are already entrepreneurs. There are some listeners who want to be entrepreneurs, and just this mindset of, if you have an idea, don't let kind of quote unquote societal norms dictate what may or may not happen. Just do what you think you want to do, and come in with an open mind that you can be flexible or changing, and then do it.
Exactly.
Like if you go and you do it, then people around you will notice that.
Yeah, exactly.
I was on Twitter or something, but someone's talking about, like, you take a mediocre idea to a good team, and they will either make that mediocre idea much better, or they'll throw it in the trash. Yeah. But if you take a good idea and you give it to a mediocre team, they'll drive it into the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just kind of like that lesson of people, and entrepreneurs are always on the lookout for that. I feel like you've had some luck finding that kind of remarkable talent around you. Is there anything that you do in particular to attract remarkable talent, or how does it find you?
Well, fast forward to today, because now we're 10 years in, and the case with Jamie learned us that no one else in Denmark was recruiting on, okay and fair and correct terms. Everyone would have like a Colombian guy fly and do some tattoos under the table, no registration of anything. It's still happening. But we found out that the system is not made for you not to be able to recruit talent. So we went through a long process, and we got like a pre-approval of work permits in our business based on us paying a certain amount of payroll to these people and securing them a contract, of course. And that's something they never did that with a tattoo shop before. And we've never seen any other tattoo shops do it, but it's something they normally do with the football clubs or soccer clubs, because then you have this talent from Nigeria or Argentina or America or wherever it is, and then they can fly them in, secure them a payroll and a contract, and they can work for them. And that allowed for us to be able to actually get anyone in the world that had the competences that we needed to work for us, and we would be able to offer them fair terms, good payroll, what is it you call it in the US, like pension,
benefits,
and all of that stuff, and of course all the other good benefits that we have in a society like the Danish one. So, say looking at talent from the top tier talent from outside of the country, that allowed for us to do a lot. Also in Europe, we have the open borders, so it's free for transportation of services and goods and workforce, which also allows for us to hire a Belgian guy tomorrow. He can just get his papers done. But today, one of the things we work mostly with is not necessarily hiring the best tattoo artists. We developed our own talent program where we, it's like a, how do you say, not a school, but we educate and build our own talents.
Like an apprenticeship.
Yeah. The thing is that being a tattoo artist is not a secured title, or what we call it. So you can open up a tattoo shop in Denmark tomorrow. You can't because you're an American, but if you were Dane, you could open up a tattoo shop tomorrow and call yourself a tattoo artist, which I think is very wrong, because you're not just a tattoo artist because you decide to call yourself a tattoo artist. So there's no real education to become a tattoo artist. And I've seen some crazy shit through the years, especially in the US and especially in Asia, where if you want to become an apprentice in a tattoo shop, you might have to spend the first year on, say, cleaning up the shop, taking care of the reception, answering the phone, doing all the stuff that doesn't teach you anything about becoming a tattoo artist. And I know that I have colleagues out there that very much against what I'm saying, but that's my take on it. I see that a lot of people learn tattooing from the old school way, but I also see that the way we do it now, I would say we are building the new stars within the space, because now they can focus us on becoming tattoo artists. So whenever we hire people to take on the apprenticeship that takes 2 years and 3 months with us, we of course look for skills, not only artistic skills, but we of course also look for, are these nice people? Are these people that you would spend an entire day in pain with while you pay for it? And are these people that we would like to learn this gift that can take them anywhere in the world? Because tattoo artists are traveling people. They explore and they see the whole world if they want. So we built up this program where we spent the first 3 months on figuring out, who are they? Are they a fit for us? And then after that, they get into like the real apprenticeship program, where we teach them everything about color theory, color techniques, lining, geometric stuff. They have some field trips where they rent a cabin with the masters, or whatever we call them. And they will have crazy challenges, draw a carrot and a turtle in this specific style, and you will have this guy that only cares about old school tattoos, and he would have to draw something that looks super realistic, but it allows for them to see what they're good at. It allows for them to explore other styles, and it opens up for a lot of conversation. And then we have some not classes, but like exams that they have to go through in all kind of aspects. If they fail, they have to do it again. If they fail again, we might let them go.
Yeah.
It's never something that they cannot do. We never ever had to let anyone go. We had to let one apprentice go because that person weren't a fit, not artistically, but in terms of what our values are. But that's it. So I would say not everyone, but everyone that has a flair for being artistic and that enjoys drawing and that is a good human being that is willing to adapt and learn.
So in the barbershop, hair grows back. If I have an apprentice, they cut hair. Doesn't look great. Not the end of the world. With tattoos, a little more permanent. How do you, I guess it's a two-part question. One, how do you let the customer know the skill level of the tattoo artist? And then how do they pay for that relatively? And then also, if they're training on like pigskin or something like that, like how do you subsidize and make sure you're getting your money out of someone who's not earning any value?
Yeah, that's two good but very different questions. I would say, let's start with the financial part of things. The thing is, we pay our apprentices through the entire apprenticeship program. We pay them a fixed salary that is matching what they would get, say they were trainees at a shipping company or whatever real company. So they can focus on exploring being an artist and becoming a really good artist without having to stress about, household costs. Of course, they won't get paid as they don't do high income, but they can manage and they will be able to focus on their job and the development. The way we then do it is that we know that it's a loss for us the first 6 to 9 months, no doubt. Eventually, they will generate revenue and we will start profiting on them. And this is kind of internal numbers, but the way we do it is that end of the apprenticeship program, say 2 years and 3 months, they will have gotten the same payroll as if they were regular employees getting what's very normal in this industry, which is a 50-50 deal, commission-based. And for us, it's just nice that we know they can focus on working and becoming good artists, and for them, the same. So they don't stress about not making money for the first 9 months. We all know that you can do some stuff for free for a period, but you don't want to do that for 9 months. Unless you have a really good idea as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But so that's how we do it with that. In terms of how we set them up with our clients, is that the way we do it in Iron & Ink is that, of course, you can book your appointment through an artist, but our artist will always say if the style isn't for them, if it's a too complicated job, even if it's too simple, because it might be too expensive. If it's a very, very unique, good artist in one specific style that has to do something else. But when we talk to the clients, we always let them know that this is an apprentice, but we would never ever put them in the chair with an apprentice doing the tattoo. if we weren't 100% sure that the apprentice would do a perfect job. So we treat them the same way as we treat our other artists. We let them do what they're capable of doing. We make sure that the pricing is accordingly with what the client is getting. And we make sure that no one is sitting in a situation where they have to do something that is above their pay grade, basically. And everyone seems to understand that.
Yeah, I got to imagine that's a very tough business model to scale, because let's say it's $5,000 per month for apprentice for 5 months. You're at, what, $30,000 investment before you even make a dollar on them. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say they're not, people get paid decently here in Denmark, but we're not in that region though.
Okay. But I mean, even if it's not 30,000, if it's 20,000, that's still.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And that one case, for example, where we had to let someone go after they didn't even generate $1,000 in revenue. Yeah, that's tough, but it's a part of the game.
Yeah. Do you find that, people here in Denmark tend to be a little more stable? Because I would imagine, I know in the barber industry, there's a tendency to change shops and, move around, or are they more stable? The artists tend to stick around for 5 or 6 or 7 years.
As a general thing, if you can even say that, the old school part of the tattoo space, the artists there are probably not all super stable or loyal. I think they are loyal, but they're not loyal to the shop where they work at. But that's because most of them, they work as 1099s basically. So they do their own thing and they have their own clients. They take care of their own stuff, and the shop doesn't necessarily bring a lot of value to them. And why should they then stick around? The way we do it is that, and I think we're one of the only shops, at least in Denmark, and I haven't seen it anywhere in the States, that we employ our people. So they are on a payroll. They get paid last day of the month. That's how we do it here in Denmark. And, whatever they pay into their pension is paid into the pension. We, of course, also support that. And that is bringing them some, stability on a personal economical level. And that makes people more loyal to the shop where they work. And it gives them the freedom to go live a normal adult life, go to the bank, buy a house, mortgage, all of that stuff. So that makes at least our artists very stable or loyal to working with us. And the way we see it with the apprentices is that they don't have any other experience. They haven't been in this circus before where they had to take care of their own stuff and all of that. They learn tattooing in what we call a safe and good environment. And we can only pray and hope for them wanting to stay in that, if we, of course, want the people to stay. But we haven't been in the case where we let someone go after their apprenticeship program. We always try to stick to keeping them on board because they know our values, they know what they do, and they bring clients to the shop, and they are probably the best reps or ambassadors in our internal team because they know our values.
Yeah. What's also interesting about that is like you're really opening up to a new audience of talent.
Yes,
that
definitely.
Maybe historically wouldn't go for being a tattoo artist because of the volatility.
Yeah. It's really funny for us to see the change that we have gotten in those that applies to become a tattoo apprentice, because I would say 9 out of 10 tattoo artists that I know, they all got into the space by, and there's nothing wrong about it, but by coincidence. So I had this friend who got a tattoo machine from his uncle, or I was at a party where someone had a machine, or I wanted a tattoo, so I did it myself, or I was in prison. I've heard all the crazy stories. But what we've seen is that we have, in my team here in Vejle, we have 2 super talented, cool girls. I would say they're probably my age, like around 30. And both of them come with a background in graphical design. So they've been working in agencies, they've been through the school, they did it all. But they found out that they wanted to express themselves somehow else, being tattoo artists. We open up for apprentice applications once every summer, and we take on between 2 and 6. And we have people that, coming out from college, some that is dropping out from university, some that even finished like university degrees. We have all kind of people that wants to become a tattoo artist now, because at least the way we do it, it's becoming a real job and a real career. And that's unseen in this space.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to circle back to is you have Sorry Mom and Iron Ink. They're different companies,
Totally.
Slightly different ownership. What was the strategy behind not keeping the brand the same? Why wasn't it an Iron and Ink product line?
Well, Sorry Mom actually started before I got my equity and got a real role in Iron and Ink. It was mostly me from hanging out in the shop, and I was hanging out with Havaro and a third friend of ours. And I remember sitting there and looking for like, what opportunities do we have in this space? We only had a shop with 4 or 5 artists back then. What is one of the major pain points that we can change and that we can work on, and where we can generate a business case and go on to an exciting journey? And that was that people would come to the shop, they would spend, say, $1,000 or $2,000, whatever it is, on getting a permanent mark on their skin. It's going to sit there for the rest of their life. And then they would go to the pharmacy and they would buy a cream that literally, when you turned it around, would say that it's used for sore nipples after breastfeeding or red baby butts. And I thought that can be done better because it's a completely different purpose. But I also thought, that's not really cool. And also, it's not really convenient that you have to go to the pharmacy, because there might not be a pharmacy nearby and it might be closed when you finish your tattoo appointment. So it was super inconvenient. And suddenly you had people in a situation where they would be able to mess up their new tattoo because they didn't have what products they needed to take proper care of their tattoos. And I remember I came up with the idea to Havara and I said, we're doing an aftercare range. There's nothing else. There's an American one, some of the OGs out there, but they haven't really, this is 10 years ago, they hadn't moved on anything. And the product was petroleum based and it wasn't really nice. And it wasn't available in Denmark. And I told him, we're doing an aftercare product. We're teaming up with a lab, a production partner that can do the best product for this exact purpose. Because getting a tattoo is like you inject ink with a needle into the second skin layer. You know, you're broken. The skin is broken. You need something to heal it with. And I told him, we're doing an aftercare range. And he was like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should do, and this is before Iron Ink got a style, if you ask me. That was just a random tattoo shop. We should do a golden bottle. We do 500 and then we call it Iron Ink tattoo cream. And I'm like, no. Let's be ambitious and let's try to separate things. Because doing a private label product for ourselves would allow for us to sell one cream tops to everyone that got a tattoo. But with 4 or 5 artists, that would be 25 products a week and 125 products a month. You know, something like that. That's not how I thought we could, build a business when we knew that there was no one else doing it. So I told him we're doing this completely different. And I came up with the idea for the name Sorry Mom. That goes back to my own story where my mom almost ripped my head off when I got my first tattoo. And of course he was on board because we could both see that that could open some doors for our journey in the tattoo space, but it could also be a decent business working on its own.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets splitting it?
Not at all.
The headaches that come with that?
No, not at all. I think that was the right thing because back to Iron and Ink was more of our project back then. Sorry Mom was my project. And eventually today we're both partners in both businesses, but we have different share split in the 2 companies. We have a third partner in Sorry Mom in the US where we have an entity. We're right now taking on some of our key members of the staff in Iron and Ink in Denmark on board as small majority stake owners. So we can focus on our US ventures. And all of that would have been so complicated, say with a DTC and B2B company with a foot in the US and a corporation in Europe and then also the tattoo shop. So yeah, it gave us a lot of headache, with books and annual reports and lawyers and stuff like that. But end of the day, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, if you're selling, you're selling Sorry Mom on Amazon in America, that's your top market, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I can't imagine, I guess hindsight's 2020, that people would know if Iron and Ink is a Danish tattoo parlor either. So the brand is almost like you could build it up simultaneously. Again, your story, your pathway makes sense. And it's
exactly. And the thing is, the way we brand Sorry Mom internally in Iron Ink is that, of course, we have a shop-in-shop setup, so we sell our products, and we tell people that this is a brand that we're involved in, but we don't say it's our brand alone. And I think that underlines the fact that Sorry Mom is all about tattoo aftercare, nothing else. It's not just something we do to sell it on Iron and Ink. And that way, I think it goes hand in hand, and it's the right thing to keep it separate.
Yeah. I mean, I would, from my perspective, I would be like, bring them together, man. Make them like brother and sister or mom and dad or husband and wife or something like that. Like, say you can give like the Sorry Mom experience that, you know, no other company can do, because like not only are you providing tattoo care, but you have the tattoo shop. Like you live it, you know what people are going through. You see thousands of tattoos, you know, a year, and the results of that. Whereas, you know, maybe the primary tattoo aftercare stuff, they're just selling the product and they don't really know what it's like in the world of.
Yeah, I get your point, and I will say Sorry Mom is still a small team, you know, and whenever I'm talking to tattoo shops, it's of course a big value add that I can say who I am and what my role is in Iron and Ink. So we use it. But as for the DTC part of things, it's not really scalable if we had to sell everyone a tattoo that bought a Sorry Mom aftercare product, you know. So we use it now and then, but we also, in the US, we have Mike, my co-owner there, and he's also a tattoo artist, at least one of America's most famous ones in his style, and probably the most well-known traditional American tattoo artist on the planet. And, you know, it's helping us put the products in other shops that see him as a big player and an OG, which he really is. And so I would say we are leveraging on it almost the best way we can.
Yeah. You said you got into YouTube as well.
Yeah, and that's thanks to your recommendation and you keeping on saying, do it. So yeah, we're onto YouTube today.
How is that content strategy working for you? What are you finding that is working the best?
We tried a lot of stuff, and I would say we haven't dug too deep into it. We haven't tried too many things. That's due to the cost associated with it. And I know there are ways that we could and should and we will go. But what we have been doing is that we've been using it to generate content about tattoo aftercare. You know, what are the different ways to heal a tattoo? Some are into dry healing a tattoo, which means you don't use anything on it. You let it heal from inside. And we've been advocating about why we believe it's good to use a product. We've been focusing on the differences between, say, cling film that was used back in the days to cover a tattoo for the first couple of hours. We have a tattoo film that is transparent, of course, film, but it's more like a plaster. It's more like a surgical thing that is breathable and flexible, so it really protects the tattoo. Whereas the cling film, it's not sealed and your skin cannot breathe. So it's really messy what's going on below it. We've been using it to generate content about our products, but actually also about not naming other products, but, you know, just why it's important to use a proper product to take care of a tattoo. We've been doing videos about styles, about, you know, some of the old school players in the space, some that changed the tattoo space. We've been a lot of storytelling, basically. Yeah. And we see that it's working really well, but we see that actually what works best is where we answer those questions that hasn't been asked yet, but that we know are coming. You know, how long do I have to wear the film? How do I wash my tattoo? What should I wash it with? How do I dry it? Can I go to the gym? Blah, blah, blah. All of those things. And the way I see it is that we kind of created a little community on YouTube, which I love. And every day we get, and it might not be a lot, but we get comments, questions in the comment section every night, every day. So every day when I wake up, I see new comments. And it's always people that, at least for us, sees us as a trustworthy authority. And I think that's awesome because that's our purpose with Sorry Mom. Of course, I would love to say that everyone that's asking about products, that they go buy our products. I don't think they are. We have some good competitors out there that does good products as well. But I think it's awesome to see someone that is reaching out. Hey, I'm getting tattooed next week. My artist told me to use this petroleum jelly. Is this wrong? I saw that in your video, and I can tell him, yeah, that's very wrong. You know, it doesn't do anything good to a tattoo. And then knowing that someone is getting a good experience and healing up his or her tattoo properly, then I think we made a difference, and Sorry Mom will be top of mind on that. We are, however, to explore other content strategies. I really want to, and that's circling back to what you actually said with combining things. I want to open up for not a documentary, but a peek into the everyday life of a tattoo shop like Iron and Ink. You know, meeting the artists, seeing the clients, trying to do something like what they did back in Miami Ink. I think that was probably too much gossip and storytelling, but opening up for the real stories, for the real everyday life in a tattoo shop. Because if there's something I've learned, and that's why we actually agreed on going full scale with Iron and Ink and doing it a full experience, is that a lot of people, they don't know what to expect when they walk into a tattoo shop. Everyone has an opinion about tattoos. And that's one of the things. Everyone has an opinion. Good, bad, but no one is just neutral. Nope, I've never seen anyone say, I don't care about tattoos.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. I think I don't care about tattoos also says something. But, I've never seen it. And we want to use the channel to open up for that. But my hope is that starting with opening up for Iron & Ink is that we can team up with some of the best artists and best shops out there. So we not only can help those clients that wants to get a tattoo from Iron & Ink, but other places as well. Because circling back to our biggest audience is the US. 80% of our tattoo staff works in Denmark, 20% in the LA shop. I would, of course, love to just, do my thing so we can make the tattoo space even more safe and nice and make sure that people get good tattoos. And I know that's going to take work away from some of the, artists that doesn't really do a good job, but I think they should just step up, to be honest.
Yeah. Where can people get a tattoo? Where can people buy your products, support you?
People can get a tattoo here in Denmark. We're covering 4 of the biggest cities in Denmark. So if you're coming in, hit me up. But in LA, we are on Melrose. It's called Iron & Ink. What's the number? 7365 Melrose Ave. It's a nice shop. We have the coolest receptionist working there, Victoria. She's actually Danish. She's married to an American guy. So I would say that's the real Danish Iron & Ink experience you get there. Of course, with local staff that is doing a phenomenal job. Our products can be purchased on our own website, sorrymomshop.com. And in the US on Amazon. And then hopefully, once we get better with Sorry Mom, you'll be able to buy once we spread the word, you'll be able to buy our products in your best tattoo shop nearby. That's the goal, at least.
Sweet. Thanks, Rasmus. This has been
Thank you, Eric.
E-commerce Conversations. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Cheers. Keep on growing.